All right, good morning, everyone. My voice is almost back, and welcome to day 72 of our class. Remember, we have class this week. We have class next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it. I have to have grades in by Friday morning, and I'm actually planning on having them in sometime on Thursday because on Friday, there's a whole bunch of student outcome assessment forms that I have to fill out. All right. Okay, so let's continue on. Today, as it says, we'll continue to build this React student app we've been working on. All right, we're going to go over the assignment requirements in just a moment. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll complete this. Not only will we add update capability, but we will also take our project and, well, I'm not going to take this project, but I'll take another React project and I'll deploy it to the internet, and I'll show you how to do it using Netlify. You can do it with GitHub pages as well, as if you'd like, and we'll look at those tomorrow. All right, if we can get all that stuff done, then the rest of this week and all of next week will be lab. All right, again, if we can finish this project by tomorrow, which is my hope, then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week will all be lab. All right. This React code along assignment is due Sunday. Now, before you say that's not fair, whatever, you will have again Wednesday's class, Thursday's class, and Friday's class. So virtually 12 hours to work on it. In addition, once we complete the project, I'm going to go over everything that we've done so you can see everything. All right. You'll also have time to complete any hands-on tests, written tests, labs, or homework you may not yet have completed. This weekend, I did grade. To my knowledge, unless I contacted you otherwise, all right, I have graded everything that you have turned in up until this point in the class. If you disagree with that, if you say, hey, you didn't give me a grade for this and I did it, send me an email, let me know what I failed to grade, and make sure that you've got that assignment or those assignments in your GitHub repo. All right. Now, we've already talked about this because other than the React class assignment that we're doing right now, every bit of work, everything else has already been due. So if you haven't turned in something other than this last React code along, you got late work. Late work I will take through Sunday midnight. All right, I'm hoping to grade everything Monday. All right, and get that all up to date. Okay, and that includes if you have for some reason haven't taken a hands-on test, haven't taken written tests, haven't done homework or labs. All right. Your completed portfolios are going to be due a week from Wednesday, midnight a week from Wednesday. We're going to go over those first. Then we're going to go over the React code along requirements. Then we're going to jump back into the project. Again, I will not be around on Friday, this Friday. So if you do email me, I will get back to you on Friday, but it may be a while, just so you're aware of that. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to quickly go over here, and I mean quickly, is your portfolio. I know we've talked about it before. I'd like to talk about it again. And again, it is worth 150 points. It is due no later than midnight, Wednesday, 12/20, which is a week from Wednesday. You must publish your portfolio either to GitHub pages or to Netlify or both. And either way let me know where it is. Provide me that URL. Shouldn't have even said an invite. It should have just said URL here. All right. At a minimum, your website should contain the following sections or pages. I've mentioned this several times before. It is up to you. You can either build this as a one-page website where you scroll up and down, or a multi-page website. All right. So regardless of which way you do it, there should be a home or landing page or section, an about you page or section, a link to a resume page or section, portfolio work or section, contact work or section. All right. As it says here, these are going to be the criteria. I'm not going to read one of them. All right. I don't care, especially if this is your first class and you want to use MobiRise that I've mentioned and demoed before, totally fine. If you'd rather do it on your own using HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, or using just Bootstrap, that's fine as well. But you can see the stuff that's in here. This is what I am looking for. All right. Now, the only thing I will say with this image, all right, you really probably only need one image. I've had people in the past who have put their picture on every page. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to. All right. Finally, as it says, if you have taken the AWD1000 C# class, if you have already taken that class, provide examples from 4 or more of your C# programs. The majority of you in this class have not taken the AWD1000 or C# class. You will be taking that next semester. So if this is the only class you've taken, all right, then really I'm looking for about 6 things in here. Examples from 3 or more homework or lab assignments and 3 or more hands-on test problems. All right. And again, as mentioned, it's due no later than midnight. I'm going to grade these things Thursday morning. All right. As soon as I get up, I'm going to grade them, to be honest with you. All right. So that's the first thing. All right. Next, let's look at this. All right. This is these are the requirements. In fact, I'll take it. I put it into a file and send it to you. So let me use that file. There we go. So this React code along assignment is worth 50 points. I'm doing it the same way that they're doing it in St. Louis. I've talked to Mr. Gegelman, who's my counterpart teaching first year classes in St. Louis. They're working on the same project in there right now that you're working on. All right. We started this last week. We went over on Tuesday, part 1, where we created the site and we populated it using the seed data. Then on Wednesday, we did part 2, where we added the ability for you to go in and add a new student. Then on Thursday, we did part 3. Now, I had an error in my part 3. It's been fixed. We'll go over what it was in just a moment. But we did search logic. Now, the next part in here, which we're going to work on today, part 4, we're going to allow delete capability that should go fairly quickly. So we'll probably get into part 5, the update stuff as well. We'll see. My hope is that we'll start on that today, finish it tomorrow, and I'll show you how easy it is to deploy a React site, all right, using Netlify to the internet for free. We'll also look at how to do it using GitHub Pages, if you'd rather go that route, all right? As it says, as this has been a code along assignment, you've been asked to follow along and turn in your version midnight Sunday. Now, if for some reason, I've been using students in here. Let's say you didn't want that. All right. Let's say that you wanted, I don't know, you wanted to have 10 different kinds of, I don't know, candy in here. If you want to replace my pictures of my students with candy and put something else in there, you can do that. I don't care. I mean, it'd probably be just as simple to leave what we've already been doing, but if you want to change it, you can. Again, the assignment is worth 50 points, 40 points for the code along. Now, if for some reason it is Saturday night, Sunday night, you've got this partially done, but it's not working, please, please, please turn in what you have so I can give you some points. All right, I don't want anyone to lose 50 points from this. Remember, the whole assignment is based off of these videos that were made from Mr. Gudmisted. So if you don't like the way I've been doing them, you can go watch his. So what, that's 36 minutes. So that'd be about an hour and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 45 minutes, 3 hours and 45 minutes. It's about 4 hours of video. All right. Now, you don't have to watch them. All right. But if you want to, you can. All right. Finally, and I mentioned this earlier, I'm saying it again. All of your work, to my knowledge, has been graded. With a couple people, I'm missing something. You may have sent it to me earlier. I can't find it in my stuff. So you got an email from me saying that. Some of you are behind in this class. You know who you are. I'm not going to mention any names. All right. But you should now be able to go out to Inside Rankin. All right. And if you go out to insiderankin.org, all right, you should be able to go out there and bring up your grade sheet. If you disagree and you say, hey, I turned this in, you didn't grade it, send me an email telling me the assignment or assignments I didn't grade, and make sure that those assignment or assignments are out on your GitHub repository. All right. So I'll accept work through Sunday, not after that. I'm already planning for next semester. I don't have time. I've given people who are behind as much time as I think is fair. All right. Finally, I talked to Mr. Corrigan last week. You probably don't know who he is. He used to be my boss, but now he's moved up, and he does a lot of different jobs for Rankin. One of those jobs is he is in charge of sending out all of the course evaluations. And I asked him about course evaluations for online students. He said those should be emailed out to you next Monday, by next Monday at the latest, maybe earlier, but they should be by next Monday. Again, those are three-pronged things. What I mean is you are asked to evaluate. If you go look in your syllabus, there's about 4 or 5 things we were supposed to go over and get through in this class, competencies or whatever you want to call them. So that's the first thing that you're evaluating. Did the instructor, the book, the homework go over those competencies? Second, you're going to evaluate the book, or books in our case. Did they do the job? Did you think they were good books? Were they easy to read, easy to use, etc.? Then you evaluate the instructor, me. This is your time to say anything and everything you want to say, be it positive, be it negative. I never, ever see any student evaluation. The only thing that I get is a summary. All right. And I mean, if you said something profane or whatever, they'd probably take it out. I wouldn't see that if you swore or whatever. All right. And some things I've mentioned this before. Years ago I had a student write down, I hate his voice. Well, there's not much I can do about that. All right. But I try to look at every comment you give me as being a constructive comment. So if you think, well, you didn't give us enough time to work on homework, put that down. If you gave us too much time and you were unfair and you let people turn in stuff too late, put that down. Put down whatever you feel. This is your chance to say whatever it is you want to say. All right, enough. So let's jump back into the program. All right, so I'm going to bring the program up in code. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is run it. Then I want to explain to you what mistake I made. All right, so I'm going to come in here, view terminal, and down here, I'm going to do an npm start. And hopefully it's going to come up and work just fine. I know it did this morning when I tried it. All right, so you'll notice again, I have my stuff in here to add a new student, and I've got my stuff in here to search for a student. One thing we're going to fix, it's not wrong, so fix isn't the right word, but it's the one I'm going to use today, is it's kind of silly that you have to click a button to show your data. We're going to get rid of that button and make it so the data loads when the program loads. So this is what we have. All right, and you'll notice if I do come in here now, and let's see, we've got a Lola, a Lena, and a Lola. So let's search for them. So Lena and Lola. So if this works right now, when I click search students, she should come up and she should come up and no one else. So let's see. And there they are. Now, notice one graduated in 2021, one graduated in 2022. So I'm going to leave Lena and Lola here, and I'm going to say, show me everybody also who graduated in 2023. That should give us two more people here. And there they are. Rona, 2023, Nell, 2023. So if I now remove this, in fact, let's remove Lena and Lola. And when I click search student again, these two should go away. And they do. If I change this from 2023 to 2024, I get two different people. And if I change this back to select grad year, now there is no search criteria at all in here. So I get everybody. All right. And finally, I should still be able to come in here and put in a new student. And we'll choose, I should have something. I think I left these out here. Add student, there it is. There's John Doe. And if I change and come down here, what you should notice is 2025 has been added. We didn't have that before. And if I search for 2025, I get just my new student. Well, that's good. So as far as I can tell, everything that we've supposedly have been working on thus far has been working. So let's take a look at why mine didn't work before. In other words, the error that I had. All right. It was pretty simple error, which is probably why I couldn't find it. But somewhere in here, and I don't remember exactly where it was. All right. But I think, let's see. Think it was an add student. And in here, I had a curly brace here, and I had a curly brace here. I had an extra curly brace. I went through my code line by line, and that was what I saw, and I thought, that looks like it could be the problem. And indeed, it was the problem. All right. So we've now gone through the first 3/5, so to speak, of this. I do want to mention that when you're going over this stuff and you add hooks like we did here, all right, one thing you should not really do, and I'm doing it here, is you shouldn't have a hook that's initialized and there's nothing in there. That can lead to problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set that to null. It shouldn't change anything. All right. The first name, empty string. There is no first name. The last name, empty string. There is no last name. The email, the empty string. There is none. Now with grad year, since it is a number, I could have set that to 0, or I could have set it to the current year of 2023 or something else, but I just set it to the empty string. And since all of these are set to the empty string, that's one of the reasons that when I ran that before and we looked at searching for a student, you may have been able to tell, you may not have, but we had a placeholder for the grad year where I put 2023, but technically there was nothing in there. All right. Okay. So I'm going to continue on right now with part 4. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into app.js. All right. And again, you already know this. When the program begins, one of the things that we run in here is this add student. All right. And we run other stuff as well. Okay. But what we want to do, all right, what we want to do is we want the program to load with those 10 records right away. How are we going to do that? Well, first, up at the top, right now at the top, amongst other things, we've got this, which is correct, totally fine. Now, I have not mentioned this to you before, but I want to show you this, and that is if I go out to react.dev, react.dev. This is the React main website. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here, not great looking maybe. Learn React. They've actually got a 75-page project in here where you build tic-tac-toe using React. All right, but why am I showing you this? Because if you do look in here, there's the tic-tac-toe right there. If I do come in here and I look near the top, you'll notice that one of the things up here is reference. All right. And again, why am I telling you that? Because what we've looked at in here so far as an example is we've looked at use state. So I'm typing use state in there and hitting enter. Well, that's, oh, I forgot the dash, sorry. So it's React/use state. And that is the React documentation page for use state. All right. And if basically it's one of those, everything you always wanted to know about use state is in here. These are all hyperlinks and there's examples in here, quite a few. All right. So if you had questions, this would be a great place to start. And again, so you see it. Oops, that's not what I wanted. It's right here. react.dev/reference/react. All right. Now, why am I even showing you this? Who cares? Well, there's another one, another use in here, another React thing that you can use that's called use effect. And we're going to use that today. No pun intended. All right. So I'm going to first start by coming in here and changing use state to use effect. And I put use effect. Okay. There we go. And there it is. Notice again, it's another React hook. It says it lets you synchronize a component with an external system in English. For what we want to do, we want to make sure that when our program starts and we bring it up, you know that right now it comes up and there's a green button that says add student. And it doesn't show our 10 students until we click that button. We want to change that. All right. So how are we going to do that? The first thing is we're going to add in here use effect. Now it's gray right now because we're not using it yet. We will in just a moment. All right. But we could have actually put these in there each on their own line. But typically this is kind of the standard way of doing it. If you've got more than one hook, you just list them in a comma separated list like this. All right. Now the use state, which we've been using for a week now, or 2 weeks, I guess, and the use effect are just two of these hooks. There are more as well, but they're the only two we're going to be using in here. All right. So in my app.js, under my seed data, I've got this thing in here that says save students, but I'm going to add a new method above that. My new method is going to be use effect. I'm going to put the whole thing in, then we're going to go over it and what it means. Now this looks a little weird, and just this isn't going to fix everything yet. But when you run use effect, there are different things that you can put there. You can leave it blank. You can put a variable there, or as I'm showing, you can put an empty array in there. What that says is every single time the data changes, make sure you call save students. I want to say that again. Every single time the data changes, it says call save students. All right. Well, and again, you might say, well, who cares? All right, let's look. First of all, let me do a file save all on here. All right. Now I'm going to go down into here. And if you remember, because we've seen it many, many, many times, we've got this button in here someplace. Let's see, we've got a button in here right now for saving students. And I don't know where it is, so let's find it. There it is. All right, so we got this button, okay, for saving students. Now my hope is, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong, I'm going to take this now, this whole thing that's in here, all right, and I'm going to comment it out. Hopefully I'm commenting out the right part, but we'll find out in a minute. All right, now that whole section, hopefully at least, is commented out. All right, so file, save all. Let's run it again. So I'm going to stop the run. I'm going to make sure I'm going to make sure here that nothing else is running. And I'm going to run the program again. And voila, as soon as the program loaded, we now have our data. We don't need that button anymore. Let's make sure everything still works. All right, so let's see if we can add a new student. So there's Jane Doe. That looks good. Let's go in here. And again, I think before it was Lena and Lola. In fact, let's try Rona this time. So Rona, search. There is Lena and Rona. Let's also add everybody who graduated in 2025 and see if that brings in Jane Doe that we just added. Okay, so as far as I can tell, everything is still working. Okay, that's a great start. All right, but you might say, okay, that's fine. You said we were going to talk today and we were going to talk about being able to delete a student. We're going to put that in just a minute. Now, when we do that, what we want in the next 2 classes, today and tomorrow, is we want to be able to delete an existing student and edit an existing student. How are we going to do that? We're going to add buttons to each student down on the bottom here. One will say delete student and one will say edit student. If you click the delete student, all right, you'll be able to delete that student. If you click the edit student, you'll be able to edit that information for the student. So that's the plan. All right. So first thing I want to do, you may or may not remember this. I don't know. I think I said this. If I didn't, shame on me. But one thing about React, all right, one thing about React is what you're supposed to be able to do with React is you're supposed to be able to go in and create components. We've only created one component thus far, and that's add student right there. But what you should notice is if you look at our app.js, I've got some code in here now that's commented out. And I might even have other code in here that's commented out. But the bottom line is that's a pretty honking big file. It's 236 lines long. So can we make it even smaller than this? And the answer is yes, by pulling some of the stuff that's in here out of here and putting it into its own component files. Now, one thing we're not going to do, but technically we could take this seed data and what that starts at line 98 and it starts on line 16. So that's about 80 lines. We could take that and put that into its own file. That would take 80 lines out of here. All right, we could do that. I'm not going to, but we could. The reason I'm not going to is, again, I'm doing my darndest to follow Mr. Gudmiston's lead. I'm doing what he did. Would I have done it the same way? No. Would he have done it the same way that I would have done it? No. Would Mr. Gagelman have done it the same way? Either one of us would have done it. No, because there's always multiple ways of doing the same thing. All right. I am showing you a way, no claim that it's the best way or it's the only way. It is a way. So inside of source here, all right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on source and I'm going to right mouse click on it and choose new file. Now I'm going to make a file called student.cs. All right, so that's in here now. Says, do you want to install the recommended? No. All right. So that's the first thing that I want to do. Now, next, I want to go back into here. And I want to find this where I am putting in the image and all of that other good stuff. So here is my image that we're adding. All right. So like I said, here is the image that we're adding. Here is the first name that we're adding. Here is the last name we're adding, the email and the grad year. So that information right there, when the program runs, that is showing us these 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of information. All right, I think 5. I think it's showing us the grad year too. So that's everything. All right. So what we'd like to do, all right, what we would like to do then is to clean this up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find that area. Let's close this and let's minimize this. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab basically, all right, everything that's inside of my card here, all of this. All right. And I'm going to grab it and I'm going to, for now, copy it just so I don't screw it up. And I'm going to go over to my students.cs file and I'm going to paste it in. So now what I actually have in here, all right, is all of my output information. This is my card, again, with my image, my first name, my last name, my email, and my graduation year. Now, the rest of the program does not know about this particular file. It does not know that this file even exists. Well, let's add a couple things to this file. So at the top, I'm going to put in here import, and I don't need use effect, but I do need use React. I need use state from React. I do need that. All right. The other thing I want to do is right now, this isn't in a function or anything else. So I want to put it into a function. All right. And I'm going to be introducing a word you probably haven't heard before. And that word is props. We may have talked about that before, but I don't think we did. All right, we are going to today. Now I'm going to move all this over, one tab. All right, now we've got this set up, so we're going to be able to do what we want to do with it. All right, now we're going to have to make some changes to this, but it's getting there. All right, right now, the main changes that we will have to make, just so you know, we want to be able to pass this information in to here. We don't want this stuff here anymore. I want to be able to do this. All right. Now it looks like I'm missing a div here. I don't know. It looks like I was, but now it looks like, no, I'm not. It says something is missing here. All right. All right. And I'm not sure what it is. We're going to figure it out. All right. But what I want to show you is this. All right. I'll come back to this in just a moment. But in our student file, props means properties. All right. And I actually did show you something similar to this last week. If you remember, I'll show you again. I'll keep it real short. Last week, we did something like this, where we said, let X equal 10. let y equal 15. And then we said, let sum equal add 2, and we passed in x and we passed in y. All right, then we wrote a function that we called add2, where we used x and y. I can call them whatever I want. So I'll call them num1 and num2. And we say here, return num1 plus num2. Right? And what that's going to do is it's going to call this function. X will be replaced with 10. Y will be replaced with 15. And then it'll return 10 plus 15, which is 25, which gets put into here. That's not really new. What is new and what is different when you work with JavaScript is what you are able to pass in here. You can actually pass in there an entire function if you want to. There are very few languages that give you that kind of power, where you can pass a function in as a parameter to another function. All right. One of the ones that lets you do that is React using JavaScript. Now, in order for the system to be able to recognize this, these props, we're going to have to preface everywhere where we say student dot. We'll now have to say props dot student dot. So we'll have to add it there and here and here and whoops, and here and here. We're still not done. But what I'm trying to show you is how we're going to allow two different routines to communicate with one another. All right, this is in our new student thing that's in here. All right, so what we have in here, we imported use state, and better say from or it won't work. All right, our thing itself is called student.cs. So we have a function student. All right. And what do we have in here? Props. Now, you may or may not have noticed this, but when you look in here, there's no logic in here. I want to say that again. There is no logic. We're just printing stuff in here. Why am I telling you that? Because we need to say return with a paren. We need to move all of this over one more time. And we need to end our parenthesis. Remember, one of the things I told you earlier this semester is when you are printing, when you're doing this stuff, there's two sections. In here, up above the return, you put your programmatic logic. In between the return paren and the ending paren, that's where you put down whatever it is you want to print out. All right. Now, I'm going to add one more thing in here. All right. And that is this. Now, this is a little premature. In other words, I'm going to add something that right now really and truly would not even work. All right. But right down on the bottom here, right underneath my last LI, I'm going to add a button. And when we click this button, what we will want to have happen is we're going to want to call a new thing that we're going to write after the break. That's going to be called remove student. All right. And it's going to be props dot remove student. And in order for that to work, it's going to need to know the student to remove. So we'll put in props dot student here. All right. And what that will say is delete student. And we will end our button. Now, it may give me an error because we haven't written this yet. It may not, but let's see what it does. Yep, it's giving me 2 errors. And probably that's why. That's my guess, at least. Let's see. Module build failed. Adjacent must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. Okay, something is screwed up. That isn't even it. Button. Danger. Click. Ding, ding, ding. Props dot remove student. Props dot student. That's all correct. Delete student. That's correct. End your button. Okay, I've got 2 divs here. And do I have 2 divs here? There's a div. And I've got an extra div, it looks like. So let's look and see now if it compiles cleanly. Well, file, save all. And I'm going to see if it works. Okay, doesn't like something. And I will look at it during the break. I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm not worried about it. All right, but I want to get us to a certain point here. Now, we did go back into our app.js. We went back in there. All right. And now it looks like a div and a div. This is where we had that problem before. All right. So we're coming in here and I mean, what are we changing? You saw what we cut out of here. All right. But what we want to do is we want to be able now to communicate, have this routine here. We want this routine to be able to communicate with this one. So we want these 2 files to be able to communicate with one another. How do we do that? The first thing we have to do is in here, we've got all those imports and all that other stuff. We have to add another import that says import student from. Okay, well, that looks like a problem. It's not finding our student right now. So we'll have to look at that. It should, but it's not. So let's look. There's our app. Oh, because I put the wrong, why did I make a CS on the end there? Okay, let's rename that. That should be student.js. All right. Don't know why I put CS there, but I did. All right. So let's come back here. And now it's not giving us an error. It just says we're not using it. But it before it couldn't find it. And now it's found it. All right. So that was the first thing that we wanted to do was we wanted to come in there and do that. All right. Then where we had added this stuff before, which is down here in our return, rid of that. All right. Okay. When we put in all of this stuff, okay. And I'm going to have to fix that during the break, but all right. Where we've got this equal column, large 2, student ID, etc., all that stuff. All right. We want to change that. We want to put code in here. I'm going to, for right now, let's see, I've got a paren and a paren. And inside of this div, that's right here. I think this is being screwed up because of where my div is. All right, and I may need that paren that was in there. All right, that fixed it. All right, but in here, what I'm going to tell it to do, this is going to look really weird. All right, in English, we're telling it to do what it had been doing previously in here. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the code we had in there, that code we had in there previously, all right, that code we had that we moved out and we put into add student, we're telling it to call it here. And in order for us to be able to do that, it says we want to call student. And we want to say that a student is equal to whatever one we pass in. What that's going to do is it's going to loop through all of our students and show them to us. All right. When we do the remove student, which we haven't written yet, we'll write that after the break. We can put that, in here someplace, because if you look, we've got a save student. We've got a search student, an add student. So down below this, we should be able to come in here and do a const. We'll add to this in just a bit. Remove students equal student. Again, we're going to play with this after the break, and I'll leave that blank. Okay? Now it shouldn't be complaining about this, but we're telling it here to do two things. That is, whenever the program loads, load all 10 of the students in. Also, whenever we click the button to remove a certain student, remove that student. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or if I still have errors. All right. And well, it's down to this. Export default not found in student because you need it and because I didn't put it in. I didn't mean to not put it in, but I didn't. All right. That exports the stuff that's in there. So let's see if that fixed it. There's our students. And notice now they've each got a button that says delete student. All right. One thing I don't like is that that button should have been red, and it's not, because we did put in here under student for that button, ETN, ooh, that's why. All right. Let's see if the button's red now. There you go. Now we could play with this. You could add some margin or padding in here to make it look a little nicer. Notice right now, if I click it, nothing happens because nothing has been programmed in yet to make something happen. All right. So we're going to write a remove student when we get back from the break. And then we're basically done with part 4 of this. So we will go on into part 5 right away, where we will pretty this up. We will add a few things, a few niceties, so to speak. All right. And then we will work on the updating student. All right. It is 9 o'clock. Let's take 15 minutes, please. Come back at 9:15. I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Blue Diamond Loy Loy.
Yep.
Are you in class with him? Or is he?
In the
In
afternoon.
the afternoon, could you have him, tell him that I need to see him? I got a revised award letter with a scholarship on there.
Oh, did he receive one? He asked me to
Yeah,
fill him out.
so yeah, have him come see
Can
me.
I tell him why or just tell him to see you?
Just tell him to see me, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right, all
All
right,
right.
thanks.
All right, it is 9:15, so I'm going to continue on. And the only thing that we have to do is to write the remove student. And I've written it right here And I'd like to go over it a line at a time. All right, what we're doing is we're using the JavaScript filter command. What the filter command is doing here is it's going through our student array, all students. And as long as the current student it's going through is not equal to the one we want to delete, copy that student from all students to the updated student array. So by the time we get finished, if there's 10 students and we found one, we click the delete on the first student, the other 9 should be copied in. Now, let me save this and let me run it so you can see it. So I can pick out anybody. How about Vivia here? And she's gone. Annie, and he's gone, etc. Now, if I refresh, they're back. All right. And remember, the way this is set up right now, it is not working with local storage to permanently change this stuff. All right. So we're working with a copy, for lack of better words. But we are able to go in. I mean, I can remove everybody. Now they're all gone. All right. But as soon as I refresh, they're all back again. Okay. But the point is, with this routine, what we're telling the system is we're creating a brand new array called updated students array. That array, we want to filter through the current all students, which holds all 10 of our students or more if we've added more. And if the current student that we're looking at, if his or her student ID is not equal to the one that we just told we wanted to delete, then add them from all students to updated students. But if you do find a match, don't add them. And then call save students, but instead of passing in all students, now pass in our updated students array. All right. So again, in essence, what we're doing is we're allowing you to remove a new student. So this, you already know this, is called to add a new student. This is called to remove an existing student. And in just a few minutes, we're going to continue on and we're going to have our update in here. But literally, that is virtually everything that we wanted to do in here. All right. So for the next part, what we want to do is a few things. We want to allow you to search. All right. And when I say not search, I shouldn't even say search. We want to allow you to edit an existing student. And in order to be able to do that, we're going to add another button below this one. All right. And that button will be, it will say edit student. All right. And again, we could go and add, we'll add a little bit of, right now we'll come in and we'll add a little bit of CSS to try to pretty this up a little bit. All right. We're going to do a little bit more work or try to organize our components, because right now we've got components, but they're not organized very well. If you say, I don't know what you mean, you'll know in just a minute. All right. We're also going to add font awesome. So on here, we can add like a garbage can or something else to delete. When we edit, we'll put a little thing in there also. Do you have to do that? No. Okay, but we'll add React font awesome and we will add some CSS. All right. Now, when you work with Bootstrap, Font Awesome, etc., those really are kind of referred to as third-party frameworks or third-party libraries. What I mean is they don't come standard with React. All right. Now, you may or may not know this, but earlier what we did, much earlier when we were working on this project, in fact, let me just show it to you, is in our app.js at the top, we imported Bootstrap. That is Bootstrap itself. You're like, what the heck are you talking about? That is Bootstrap from getbootstrap.com. Why am I telling you that? Because if we go out to npm JS, there is another Bootstrap that is React Bootstrap, which is, for lack of better words, kind of a thinned down version of Bootstrap that's just meant to work with React. Now, could we have used that? The answer is sure. We could have. We didn't, but we could have. All right? All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do to try to, for lack of better words, kind of make this look more React-like, that's a terrible way to put it, but it's the way I'm putting it, all right, is we're going to come in here and under source right now, there's our add student, there's our student. All right, I'm going to add a new folder in here. I'm going to add a new folder that I'm going to call components. Just like that. Then I'm going to drag in add student into the components folder. And a wonderful thing happens here. It says, are you sure you want to move this? And when you click move, well, I thought it was going to do more than it did, but it didn't. So let's try that again. All right, well, put it in there. That's good. All right. And we're going to do the same thing in here for student. Probably didn't add that the way, there's a better way of adding it than what I just showed you. All right. Now, what I want to do next, Bootstrap does have their own icons, but you may or may not remember this from earlier in the semester. There's also something that's called Font Awesome. And Font Awesome has boatloads of free icons. Start for free. All right. And, they say, what do you want to do? You want to look at them, download, etc. I don't want to do anything here, but I'm just showing you there are tons of these. And if you look, they even have some, well, there's React. All right. And they say that if you want to use React with this, so if you want to use React along with this, all right, this is where you can go to find out some information. All right. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do in here. So I'm going out. You can go to here. It's totally fine. Or you can go to fontawesome.com/v5, which should be the latest and greatest, /docs/web/use/with/react. Just so you can read this. All right, I've shown you these two today, and we're going to add another one in here. There it is. So you don't need that, of course, but there it is. fontawesome.com/v5/docs/web/use/with/react. All right. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the get started, which is right at the beginning. And they say here that if you want to use these, you should install this and you should install this. Don't worry about the npm I save. All right. In fact, we can do all three of these. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, notice, I don't know why they did it like this, but to say npm I and npm install do the same thing. So I can do this one here as an npm I. I can do this one here as an npm I. I don't know why they showed it the way they did. All right, but I'm going to grab this first one here, npm I -- save, which really isn't necessary anymore. That's something you used to have to do with React, but you don't anymore. Font awesome SVG core. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to my project. And then down here, in here, I'm going to stop the run. I'm going to make sure that I kill what was running. So after I add this stuff, I can make sure I didn't break anything. And now I'm going to add that. So there's the first one. Okay. And there's two more. Oops. Okay, there's the second one. And there's the last one. Right? So I came in here. Now it's giving me an error. Boy, that's interesting. It's giving me two errors in here. Okay, I know why. It's because of what we just moved. So we've got to come in here and in our app.js. Let's fix those. All right, where this says in here, notice it now says components. It did change them. All right, this used to say import student from /student, but now it says from /component/student. Same thing with add student. So I think that those errors I had are gone. Let's look. Let's just run this. See if I get errors or not. Okay, so everything's been fixed. That's good. All right. So we did those imports, and now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring those in to our program. So I'm going to go into add students because that's where we want to do this stuff. So I'm going to go into add student here. All right. And in my add student, I brought those in, but they haven't been imported into here yet. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to import font awesome icon. Let me do two things. Let me close this and let me spell this correctly. All right, Now, what's cool, for lack of better words, what's cool about this, okay, is I can change this to anything I want. And you might say, well, who cares? Well, remember, I have in here, for example, if I want to add a student. So there's an FA add that we can use in here. All right. And there's other ones. There's an FA edit. There's an FA delete. There are scores of these things that we can add. I think they're the one that we'll use. I think it's called like add with circle or something like that. But we'll find it in just a second. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to leave this and I'm going to save this. All right. And I'm going to go down and in here in my do work that I've got right here. Okay. So this is the stuff for each student. And let's see. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to at least try to add a button. Let's see. See. Let's do this one next. I'm going to grab all this from out of here. And I'm going to go to my, oh, where is that? Let's go into here and let's find our delete student that we just put in here. All right. So we just put that right here. And we put it someplace in here. Search. There it is. So we got there. Let's be in here then. What was in there? Oh boy, let's see. There it is. Okie dokie. Students. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Student. Delete student. After the delete student, I'm going to put in here font, awesome, icon. icon equals F, oops, FA warning. All right. And what doesn't it like here? In that. All right, now it's telling me I've got an error, which is lovely. So this should come up with an error, I guess. All right. Find if a warning is not defined. Okay. Means I've got to take this thing that I did up here, these, and I've got to bring them into here. That's not what I wanted. I'm sorry. I want to bring in the two font awesome ones. There we go. All right. And this has to be FA warning. That should fix the problem. Good gravy. Okay, knocked it down to one error. Student is not defined. And student is not defined. That was the same error I had before. My app.js. Oh my goodness. is going on here? Resolve. Right, that's in my two students. Students already been defined. Student.js. I don't think I need them either of these places, but why am I getting those errors? Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Exactly what I'm going to do here. And that is, we'll do the Font Awesome stuff tomorrow. All right. When I've had a chance to redo it. I don't know why it's giving me errors, but it is. All right. All right. That fixed everything. But I've still got to add that. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. Okay. And that is, I'm going to come in and I'm going to try to pretty this project up a little bit. All right. So under components here, okay, right now there is an add student.js and there's a student.js. So under components, I'm going to add a new file and it's going to be add student.css. All right. And we're not going to put much in it, but we'll put a few things in it. So. All right. So we've got an add student and an add student header. Well, first of all, this file needs to know that that file is being used. So I'm going to import into here. Oops, add student. All right, so that's the first thing. Now, in order to be able to use this in our add student, we need an ID that's called add student and another one called add student header, which we probably don't have right now. So let's see, first name, etc. Well, let's see. Let's see if we can get this to work. Let's put in like an H3 header. And ID equals add student header. And we'll say add student. Okay. So let's see. All right, see if I made it better or worse. All right, well, I sure didn't make it better. This was supposed to go all the way across and it's not. But we got our add student, so this is just a matter of moving this over a line. And you can see what I want is this whole thing in here to be inside of this. So it looks a little nicer. Then I'm going to make another one underneath this for here. So let's see where that line is. Here. There you go. I don't like the way that looks, of course. Last name. All right, we got to move that. There we go. Now that isn't fantastic, but it's adding a little bit to it. All right, and I'm going to put another one in there for the search. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. The other thing I want to do in here is just bold it. Okay, which bolded that. That's good. Again, we could put more stuff in here if we wanted to. It looks decent. I'm not going to say it looks great. It's very similar to the way Mr. Gudmist did it. So I'm going to grab all of this, copy it so I can use it again. And in my components, I'm going to add another file. And this one is going to be student.css. And I'm going to put that in here, except this is going to be student and student header. And this is when we're searching. So let's call this search student and search student header. All right, we'll keep the same radius. We'll keep all of that the same. This, I don't want that to be green. I want that to be that blue. And that blue is all right. And we got to do the same kind of thing that we just did with add student. Let's do a file, save all. And in our return, we'll need this. All right, this is where we're searching for a student. Which I think is Not in there. Okay. There's remove. Search by, there we go. All right. See if I did that right or not. We'll find out right now. All right, there's that one, and there's that one. Okay. And finally, we can put one under this entire thing if we want to do that as well. All right. So we can add one in here. For now, I'm going to leave that off. So what we have done today is we have the ability to go in and delete a student. What I have to add tomorrow to that is the font awesome icon. I will do that first thing. Then we will go in and we will add another button below this delete student, and that will be for updating the student. All right. And we will programmatically put that in as well. This works. You already saw it. All right. What we want to have happen when we put in an edit student button, it sounds a little weird and it's going to involve a bit of code, but imagine this said edit student down here and I click there. Every one of these has to change. These are just what right now? They're just text boxes basically. All right. Really, they're labels, to be honest with you. You can't change anything that's in here, but we want to change these so that they are basically text boxes. So we want to do that. So on our list of stuff to do tomorrow, we want to get font awesome to work here. We want to be able to add and edit student, again with the font awesome. We want to program that so that it works as well. Maybe we will go in and put something similar to this around this whole thing. I don't know if that would look better or worse. All right. But it should still be working right now. So if I do come in here and add a student, let's put 6 in here. And we'll Give her a picture. There she is. So we're able to add her. If we search, they put in the 2026, but let's also search for 2023. All right, 2023, and Mary Green. So everything right now is working. We haven't broken anything, which is always a good sign. So we're able to, we pretty this up, or if you don't agree, you could change it any way you wanted. All right, but we've got a little bit of formatting that we've done to the add student and the search student. So again, for tomorrow, what we want to do is add an edit button in here, make it work, add font awesome in here, make that work. And then finally, after we've done all of that, we want to go in and we want to save this. And I will show you how to do it using both Netlify and GitHub pages. And that'll be it. So once we get done with that, hopefully we can finish that tomorrow fairly quickly. And once we do, the rest of the semester is going to be lab. And I'm saying one more time, I'm not trying to waste my time or yours, but I do want to make sure that everybody knows this, and that is bring that up. Again, this project that we're working on right now, when we get done with it, I'm going to go through line by line. So you can do screenshots or whatever you want to do. But you are to try to replicate this project by Sunday. It's worth 50 points. 40 will be for the code. 10 will be for putting it out either on GitHub pages or on Netlify or both. You will have then the remaining 7 days of the semester after tomorrow. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then the following week to complete any late work. That late work should be in by 12/17. All right. You should also be working on your e-portfolios, which are due the Wednesday before the last day of class. Finally, the reason, just so you know, the reason I want these here and not on Thursday is in case there's a problem, I can try to email you and let you know so you can fix it and you still have time to fix it before I have to do grades. All right. So as always, if you have questions on anything, email me. All right. You know then hopefully what we'll be doing tomorrow, finishing this thing up. All right. Have a good rest of the day then. I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:05. Thanks.